What is the meaning of Sukkot? Sukkot in Hebrew is tabernacles. It's a feast that Yahweh said, keep the feast of tabernacles. But what is the meaning? What is the purpose? Why is it that this command has gone forth? We're going to talk about it. For those of you that don't understand the feast, that's fine. But those of you that keep the feast, keep in mind, we can often keep these feasts, keep these things that the Most High has laid out for us, and not really understand why we're doing it. So you can do the commandment without really understanding why. So you can see here, I'm in the forest outside Jerusalem, and this is my Sukkot. This is my tabernacle. Now, we're going to talk about what is the meaning of the tabernacle, but when I came out, I go into the forest, I camp, right? That's what tabernacles is. The idea is to camp, to get outside of your house, to get outside and live in tents, live in booths. Why? Well, first off, it is to remind us of how short our life is, okay? But the other thing is we have the tabernacle of Moses, and that's what you see right here. This is just my makeshift tabernacle. You can see right here, we have our menorah, we have our lamps, we have our Ark of the Covenant, his seat, his throne, his white throne. We have our water basin. So what are the children of Israel doing? They are camping. They are coming out of Egypt. So part of coming out of Egypt is coming out of the world system, okay? Coming out of Egypt and realizing how temporary our lives are. So we have here set up, we have our menorah. Over here you can see our altar. So this is facing east. So basically how Moses' tabernacle would be is it would be facing towards the east. You would have your altar, okay? And then you would come inside what's called the tabernacle. We see you have palm branches on the side. You would have a water basin. And then when you come inside, you're in the holy place, you would have your table of showbread. And you would have your incense altar. So here's our incense altar. And here's our incense. Okay? So let's do a little demonstration and show you what you would do. So they were instructed to take coals from off the altar. Okay? Got a pretty good fire. Let's see if we can get some coals. So we take our coals, and they were to be placed in the incense altar. And then that offering made by fire, okay? Oh, let me just show you. I'll show you up close. This might be far away. But here you can see the coals, okay? So we have our coals. And remember that they, Aaron's two sons, they offered strange fire. So, of course, we don't want to offer strange fire, but we place these coals of incense, okay? And this was to be done on Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement, okay? So maybe even in the video now you can see the smoke rising. So what is this whole tabernacle? What is the command is not to do everything you're seeing here. The idea is to get out of your house, get out of wherever you are, and go to Jerusalem, okay? And we're going to see that, let's just start off first, guys, that it goes back to the Garden of Eden, okay? In the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve were naked when they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They actually weren't naked until they ate from the tree. So what they were clothed. They actually were clothed. They were clothed with light. Okay, they were clothed with light, and they were clothed with glory. Okay, there's our incense going. And when they ate from that tree, okay, then they felt naked. They realized they were naked. Why didn't they realize they were naked before? One aspect of it is that they were actually clothed with light. So, what did the Most High do? Maybe if this is in the picture, he clothed them with skins, animal skins. Okay, and so booths and tents are animal skins. So Moses' tabernacle was covered with animal skins. You see, just like Adam and Eve were covered with animal skins. So everything in Moses' tabernacle is a way of restoration of the Garden of Eden. And of course, everything in the tabernacle is a testimony of Jesus Christos and his redemption for us. So he brings us back because he is the every aspect of the tabernacle to bring us back to fellowship with God. Okay, so that's what the tabernacle of Moses does. It does other things. I have other videos on this, guys. Through the years, I'm backpacking. I'm carrying on my back what's out here. The other things you see, I've just found in the woods. But I'll put some links in the description field. I did Moses Tabernacle when I traveled in an RV. I did Moses Tabernacle when I backpack in Egypt. And so I'll show you some links for that. And I have a lot of other teaching on this. This is more or less to talk about what is the SUKKOT, what is the tent. In the scriptures, the tent is the same and the house is the same as the person. Just like you had the animal skins and they were covered with animal skins, we have the same typology in SUKKOT. So let's get into some of the verses and have a real New Testament view of SUKKOT. Okay, the first thing we want to say, guys, is that by the time you see this video, keep in mind that we keep a different calendar, the Enoch calendar. So the Jews are keeping this feast right now, and many of the people that are, doing the feast are also doing it according to the moon. So just keep in mind, we've already done this. It's already completed, but many of you may be doing it now. So I just thought I would share with you the things I got when I came out here in my feast time, and I was just praying and worshiping and studying, and I really thought this was amazing, so I wanted to share it with you. So again, keep in mind, in the Enoch calendar, the feast time is already over, but we're going to take a look at the tabernacle. Okay, so you can see our tabernacle. And this idea of tabernacling, why are we concerned with this? What does this mean? I think for many people, for many Christians, they look at this and they say, okay, that's for the Jews, but what are you going to do, Christmas and Easter? No, the Most High put this in for a message for us, okay? And what is that message? How can we understand what this means? Well, the booth and everything that's in the tent, okay, and the booth, also typically what they do, it's not like this where you have a tarp. Keep in mind, I'm just a poor homeless guy in the woods, but you cover it with different branches, okay. And again, why is the covering of the different branches? Well, it's like the tree of life, okay. So you got the tree of life that bear fruits, and it's kind of like a reminder of the tree in the garden, okay? So you have that kind of covering. But let's remember, when it came to the tabernacle, Adam and Eve, they were covered with skins, animal skins. Why? Because they were clothed with light, they're clothed with glory, they're clothed with white linen, and then when they ate from the wrong tree, then they realized they either that light was removed or they were naked. So then the Most High clothes them with animal skins, and so the booth is the house. So you have to realize that the house and the building in the structure is the same as the people. That's why he said, you are the temple. Okay, so you are the house. So many times when we have the house, we have the building, the booth, it is us. And it's to remind us of how temporary our life is. Why? Because Adam and Eve were like angels. They were never supposed to die. Death was never something that was purposed. It was something that would only happen if they ate from the wrong tree, okay? But if they didn't eat from the wrong tree, they would live eternally. They would be like angels, okay? So what happened is the light is removed, and then they're naked. And now that they're naked, and now it's, they now have eaten the wrong tree. They have been eaten from the tree of wisdom. And, now they're naked. So when Jesus is talking to the church at Laodicea, you're poor, blind, and naked. Okay, this is talking about the Garden of Eden. You're naked. Okay, and what does he say? You're blind. Okay, so what happened is they were clothed in light. In a way, they were blind. They were innocent. They were blind of the knowledge of good and evil. But when they ate from that tree, their eyes were open. Okay, and so what do they have to do? They had to buy. He says, "Buy from me clothes that you may be clothed." Why? So that we be clothed with light once again. So once again, we'll be clothed with light. We'll have a redeemed body that will not die. Okay, that's the promise of the redemption, promise of the redeemed body, the redeemed booth. Do you see that? Does that make sense? So that the booth, the skins, the animal skins, is not just a temporary tent. It's to remind us that we're waiting for the promise of redemption of the glorified body and the return to the tree of life. Okay? So let's look at Hebrews chapter 11. If we look at Hebrews chapter 11, we can see this is exactly what the writer Hebrews is talking about. By faith, this is talking about Abraham. He traveled he sojourned in the promised land in a strange country, dwelling in booths, dwelling in tents. Okay, so Abraham is already doing this by following the promise. For he looked for a city which had foundations and whose builder and maker is God. So the idea of being in booths is that this is all temporary. This is all just a camping trip. This is all, the life is in this world is like a vapor. We only live 80, 90 years. Big deal. We're supposed to live eternal. We're eternal beings. Our spirits last eternally. Okay, it's our flesh. It's our body that is the booth, which groans. Okay, waiting for the redemption. Okay, so it's Abraham that looked for his body to be redeemed. He looked for this city, this new Jerusalem, right? For look for a city, for they were strangers and pilgrims in the earth. So being in booths is to remind us that we're strangers and pilgrims here in this earth. This earth is waiting and groaning for the redemption and the return of Jesus Christ in his second coming to bring the next stage of redemption. Okay? For they say such things, declare plainly that they seek a country. For they desire a better, which is heavenly. You see that? See how the garment, the booth, the body is temporary. It's waiting for the heavenly Jerusalem, the heavenly house. Because why? We are the temple. Wherefore God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared for them a city, New Jerusalem. Now 1 Corinthians 5:1, for we know our earthly house. Okay? This is all an earthly house of this tabernacle. See, so our earthly house is our body. Our body is the temple. The temple is the tabernacle. Okay? Though our tabernacle were dissolved, we have a building of God, a house made without hands, eternal in the heavens. Okay, so we have this, we're clothed, with the glory of Jesus Christ, with the promise of him to walk with him again in the garden, in the light, in eternal life, eating from the tree of life, okay? Now, but until that redeemed body, until that glorified body is returned, verse 2, for this we groan, earnestly desire to be clothed, okay, upon, with our house. This is okaterion, which is dwelling of heaven, which is from heaven. If so be that being clothed, we shall not be found naked. Okay, why? What is this talking about? Being naked. So it's like Adam and Eve were clothed with light. And when they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, their clothing was removed and they were naked. Now they weren't naked, they were clothed with light before, and so they weren't ashamed. But now they were ashamed. And so God had to what? Clothe them again with skins, just like Moses' tabernacle. Okay? So we as well groan in this body for the redemption of the glorified body of the promise of Jesus Christ. Okay? That is what Sukkot is about, guys. Okay? For we are in this tabernacle. So the tabernacle is your body. Okay? You have a spirit. You have a soul. Okay? And you have a tabernacle. You have a body. Okay? For this tabernacle, in this tabernacle we do groan, being burdened. Not that we should be unclothed, naked, but clothed upon, that mortality might be swallowed up in life. So this is the promise of redemption, of that moment when this corruption will put on incorruptible. Okay, and this is what the promise is to the church at Sardis. Okay, you have a few names in Sardis which have what? Not defiled their garments. They will walk with me in light, for they are worthy. Now, how do you walk in light? This is the garment. The garment is light. How do you walk in white? You walk in light. Okay? So it's the light that Adam and Eve were clothed with. It's that light that we can also be clothed. That's why all in the book of Revelation, everything, it talks about being clothed with linen. Okay, I got another video. I'm going to put more of these videos. We told you about Moses' tabernacle. We told you about the other one before about doing Sukkot with just backpacking. And then we also have the garments, the wedding garment, guys. It's really important that you understand these things, okay? So that's what this feast is about. And then once you get this idea in your mind about this being clothed in light, being clothed in white, being clothed with a garment, being clothed with a tabernacle, realizing that this world is all temporary. You know, we weren't supposed to live 80 years. We're eternal beings. Our spirit lives forever. So you have to have faith in Jesus Christ to receive this glorified body. Okay? Without him, you will go to the lake of fire. Okay? So there's only those whose names are written on the Lamb's book of life. Okay? And then to those as well that have the promise of the redemption of the wedding, okay, the wedding garment. You see, all this is the same, okay? It's the tabernacle, our booth. Where is your garment? It's not just you didn't wear the right shirt. It's you can't go in heaven with corruption. You must go incorruptible. You must be clothed in light. You must be clothed with the garment. You must be clothed in white linen, okay? So that is what the booth is all about. But throughout the scriptures, it reminds us about keeping this feast. So even in the millennial reign of Jesus Christ, the nations will be required to go to Jerusalem and to keep the feast of tabernacles. Okay, to keep this feast. If they don't, curses will be on them. I believe that's Zechariah chapter 14. Okay, so it's very ignorant to say that, you know, don't keep this feast or whatever, you know. But whatever you do, guys, ask yourself, what does this mean? Why did the Most High say to do this feast? What does he mean by a booth? Why is it that the Apostle Paul is telling us we have booths? Our body is a booth, okay? Well, it leads to all the promises of throughout the book of Revelation, okay? Let's see, okay. In this idea of dwelling. Remember, we talked about the Garden of Eden. So, if we understand these words in Greek, I'm just going to read them throughout the book of Revelation. To dwell. So when you see this word dwell in English and Greek, it's to tabernacle, to booth. To the one sitting on the throne, he will tabernacle over them. Therefore rejoice, O you heavens, and you that tabernacle in them, or dwell in heaven. Okay? Revelation 13:6. The beast is blaspheming his tabernacle, and those that dwell in heaven. Okay? And behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will tabernacle with them. That is Revelation 21, verse 3. When it's talking about New Jerusalem, when New Jerusalem comes down, New Jerusalem is the tabernacle coming down, okay? But this is the fulfillment of the promise that, behold, the tabernacle of God has come down, and is with men, and he will tabernacle with them. He will be one with them. He will be their God, and they will be his people. Okay, so that booth then becomes one. The building is New Jerusalem, and the believers are the temple, and the two will become one in the New Jerusalem. Okay, do you see that? Okay, and so again, this word in Greek is a tent, to encamp, okay, to occupy as a mansion, to reside with God in a tabernacle, okay, a place of protection, a place of communion, just like the Garden of Eden, to set up one's tabernacle, to abide in a tabernacle and tent, to pitch a tent, what do we have here? Denoting much more than a general notion of dwelling, is dwelling in intimate communion with the resurrected Christ, who is our first fruits, right? So he's God come in the flesh, and then he was resurrected into a glorified body, okay? And that's the promise of us as well, okay? So guys, I have a lot more on this. I can include some more in the notes, but I wanted to show you my tabernacle. I wanted to explain to you this idea that our lives are temporary. We're journeying here temporary. So the idea of the tabernacle is to focus on the heavenly, to realize that the reason the people won't have faith is because they're caught up in the temporary. They're caught up in this world, but this world is temporary. It's nothing compared to what it's like to live in the millennium. What if you live as long as a tree? You live 1,000 years. You don't die again. Okay, that is the promise of the heavenly, the promise that Jesus Christ has made to us, to have this tabernacle be changed into his glorified body. So guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to have some more messages on the 7 churches and the Garden of Eden. Actually, I want to remind you of this. I just set up a new playlist. I have talked so much about the Garden of Eden. I think this message is so amazing. God has restored us back to the Garden of Eden, to paradise, to the tree of life. And they're some of the least watched videos on my channel. But I don't care, because I know a few of you listen and you do it, and you have the coffee with the Lord, and you're developing that intimacy with him in the garden. So I'm going to put this video as part of a playlist on the Garden of Eden, okay? On the Garden of Eden, we talk about its actual location and Christ's promise to restore us to paradise, the Garden of Eden. So guys, thanks for watching, and may the Lord richly bless you, and even those of you that are keeping this feast time, may you greatly rejoice in his name, and the promise of redemption of our glorified body. Hallelujah.